Nigeria's president has called for calm and understanding after protests against police brutality turned violent on Tuesday evening, with soldiers reportedly opening fire on demonstrators in the country's biggest city, Lagos. There are reports at least 20 people have been killed. Now, hundreds of people, some reports say 1,000, had gathered in this wealthy suburb of Lekki in defiance of an indefinite curfew imposed hours earlier by the authorities. The alleged shooting took place at the Lekki toll gate in the south of the city. And let's show you some of the latest pictures that we have been getting in. You can see here protesters running to take shelter amid the sound of gunfire, which reportedly went on for an hour or so. Now, I have just been speaking on the phone to one person who was at the protest, and he told me exactly what happened and what he witnessed last night.
Yes. Right now, I can actually confide in you that from what I saw with my own eyes, I saw over 3 dead bodies died on the spot after they were being shot last night. Do you understand? I saw them. So it was really, really terrible. And these people were not armed. They were not holding any form of weapons. They were only holding the Nigerian flag. And we thought that the military, they were not going to shoot, but the reverse was the case. So life were lost last night. And the governor also confirmed to it, because this morning when he was granting the interview, he said that he went around the hospitals and mortuaries. So if life were not lost, what did he go to the mortuary to do? That's the case issue answer.
There are others that say that there were thugs who were paid to be there to stir up trouble. Did you witness that?
Yes. Yes. There were thugs that was being paid to start up trouble so that they can say that they are part of the protest. Those people were not part of the protest. That was another strategy they were trying to employ. And when they realized that that did not work out, because the protesters refused to fight back, and everyone was holding their flag. They refused to fight back because they were using thugs, and that strategy paid them. That was why they brought out the military. And for them to say that life were not lost last night, that is a total lie. That's a fatal lie.
That was an eyewitness who was just speaking to me a short time ago. Well, we've had widespread condemnation from around the world of the violence. Former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton calling on Nigeria's President Buhari and the army to stop killing young protesters. While Manchester United forward Odion Ighalo has posted a video on social media calling this is him here. Now, he has called the Nigerian government killers. The army have labelled reports of the shooting of protesters fake news on Twitter. This is part of a series of tweets that we had from the army claiming there were no soldiers there at the scene. Denials too from the state governor of Lagos, who we can see here visiting some of the injured in hospital, but he says there were no deaths last night. Let's bring you right up to date with everything that happened last night and the latest pictures we have. Here's Paul Hawkins.
We are comforted that we have not recorded any fatality.
Protests allegedly turning violent on the streets of Lagos.
Everyone sit down, sit down, sit down.
We haven't been able to verify this footage, but it's said to show uniformed men shooting at protesters. One eyewitness said they counted around 20 bodies and at least 50 injured. Human rights organisation Amnesty International said it also obtained credible reports of deaths and that soldiers allegedly barricaded the protest area, preventing ambulances from reaching the injured. The authorities have promised an investigation. Earlier in the day, the protests were largely peaceful. The special anti-robbery squad may have been disbanded, but many here are still unhappy with police brutality. They want more changes to the security forces, as well as reforms to the way the country is run.
We're here because we believe in what we're fighting for. We're firm to it. And you know, if you listen to our national anthem and our national pledge, we are here to defend our unity.
We are fighting for the truth. We are fighting for the label of our heroes past. We don't want it to be in vain.
I prefer to die well for my children to have a better tomorrow. The truth is it.
Protests like these have been ongoing for 2 weeks, but the authorities have had enough, now imposing an indefinite 24-hour curfew on Lagos and other regions. The question is, have the protesters had enough too? Paul Hawkins, BBC News.
Well, the protests, which went so badly wrong last night, have been going on for the past 2 weeks. They began over Nigeria's special anti-robbery squad known as SARS, which has been accused of illegal detentions, assaults and shootings. President Buhari dissolving the police unit last week, but demonstrations continued, calling for more changes in the security forces and wider reforms against corruption. The Lagos state governor claims criminals have now hijacked the protest movement. On Tuesday, he announced an indefinite curfew across Africa's largest city and ordered anti-riot units to be deployed around the country. I spoke to Seun Bakari, who is Programs Manager at Amnesty International Nigeria, about what he has been told by eyewitnesses.
The testimonies from eyewitnesses greatly differ from what the governor has said. And it is interesting that when we started speaking with eyewitnesses, and then we also reviewed footages from the incidents last night, it is obvious to everyone that not only were protesters gunned down, they were gunned down by men who were donning camouflage, Nigerian military camouflage. And so it is completely unbelievable when the authorities come out, when the Lagos State governor, for example, comes out to say that there were no deaths. What we have heard from victims and family members of victims and eyewitnesses show that there were deaths, and we have not ascertained the exact number as of this time because we are still investigating. But I can assure you that what the governor said is not a true reflection of what happened yesterday night.
What would you like the international community to do now?
The international community has to weigh into this, and they have to do it now. The protesters were asking for their right to live as youths in this country, as citizens of this country, without being killed by bullets from the authorities, without being killed by security forces, without being brutalized by the police. And it is unbelievable that a protest that started as a result of brute use of force by the police is now being quelled by the same excessive use of force. So the international community has to hold Nigeria to its obligations, its human rights obligations. It is unacceptable to quell protest using excessive force. It is unacceptable to fail to bring erring officers to book. It is unacceptable to not compensate victims, and it is unacceptable to refuse to give guarantees of non-repetition. These are the calls that we have made in the various reports that we have published as Amnesty International on the use of excessive force by the Nigerian police and on our calls for reform within the Nigerian police. So we are saying that the international community has to remind the authorities that there are international standards that must be followed.
The view there of Amnesty in Nigeria. Any updates from there, we will bring them straight to you.